I have been in 2 emotional domestic violent relationships and the 3rd sexually exploited me. This vicious pattern began from getting into a relationship as a young teenager, turning into a woman, only knowing this apparent way of showing what love was, or what I thought it was. It is so common for women and men to fall in the same pattern and seeing no way out. It is easier said than done to say you should know better or that the signs are there. There are 5 types of domestic violence: psychological, physical, emotional, financial and sexual. And once you've been a victim to this, it also then makes it easier for further perpetrators to take advantage. It is the manipulation to make you believe that you are nothing without them, to drain your independence, self-esteem and self-worth, to make you feel as though you're an object or property rather than a human being. They demoralise you, they control you into doing what they want but make you think that it was your choice. Your fault, to be ashamed because you're the one that's let it happen. I became numb to feeling. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts in my head anymore. It was a haze of clouds where I would just sometimes close my eyes and drift to a place that was quiet, where I didn't actually have to acknowledge what was happening to me. I was lucky enough to get out of these relationships when I did, but some people are suffering in silence. After my relationship ended, in extreme cases of domestic violence is when it's at its most dangerous. That person has now lost control and will start acting rationally, do whatever to grab your attention and reclaim that control back. They cannot cope, and that may cause harassment, stalking, create lies, use your family and friends against you, and so much more. Anything to get and keep your attention. I did not realise I was in a domestic violent relationship until a year later, after the harassment had stopped. The only person I then needed to focus on was me. It felt weird because I'd never experienced putting myself first and my own needs, as it was always their issues, their problems, what they wanted to talk about, what they wanted to do, and I'd never and I'd forgotten who I was. I realised that I needed help as I discovered I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I then went to group counselling sessions with Arch, which really did help me to teach me how a relationship should be, what the signs are to spot for domestic violence, and what true love should be. The biggest thing for me was the emotional and physical effects that I had after being in a domestic violent relationship. I'm a confident, bubbly character, and I'm not afraid to speak or say what I believe in, but I didn't realise the effect and trauma that this would have on me and how codependent I actually am when I was in relationships. I didn't realise how low my confidence actually was with him. I had been numb to anything for 5 years. And now, being on my own and having that independence, I then realised that I was involuntarily reliving my memories over and over again in my head, and it just got to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore. I don't think that many people talk about what happens after being in a domestic violent relationship, as I think the trauma of talking about what had actually happened in the relationship is hard enough to talk about, but I think some people forget to understand and realise the actual after effect of that relationship, and I don't think that there's enough support out there for the after effect. What I found hard was the certain smells, touches, words that people would say that would then re-jog my trauma and cause my anxiety and panic. Hearing someone say shut up just in a joking conversation would send my heart racing. Not finishing all my food on my plate, how upset that would get me, because that was what was drilled into my brain and in my head of what I had to do. Or even someone brushing their hand under my chin would send tears to my eyes. and relieving my built up pain through nightmares, waking up in a sweat and panic. These are just some of many, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody. Which is why not only do we need to raise awareness for women that are currently in these relationships at the moment, but we also need to create prevention for young women on education of what a healthy relationship should be, how a relationship should be, and what a healthy relationship does look like. Because from my own personal experience, I think sometimes it is a lot harder, and I think you could get into these type of relationships in a bad environment or a bad background, but personally speaking, I had a good upbringing, I had good education, and I had a loving mum and father, had no traumatic experience, which a lot of cases can come from that, but I had all the best I could possibly, but I still ended up in these relationships. And I think no matter what your circumstance is, no matter where you come from or who you are, anybody can experience this, and they shouldn't. And I don't think that there's enough education out there, especially coming into schools and from that teenage turning into a woman. I don't think anybody knows what a relationship is or what love is. So if you're not taught that from the beginning, how are you meant to know that that is what's right from wrong if you've never experienced it before yourself? And it's creating that prevention so that no young woman or man or anyone should ever experience this or need to. Dealing with trauma is a long process, and it does get easier with time. You learn coping methods and your wounds do heal, and with the love and support that you surround yourself with time, again, it does get better and better each day. Starting yoga really helped with my anxiety and helped me to relieve from negative thoughts that I were feeling and getting overwhelmed by certain things, or same again, reliving them memories. I think yoga is a huge thing that I would highly recommend that can help you feel mindfulness within yourself, within your body, both physically and emotionally. And I am starting to still learning to balance my life both with social and work, as I'm kind of 90% work, about 10% social life at the moment. But I think through what I'm doing the right thing, and I am learning that you also, not only is it good to keep yourself busy and keep yourself occupied and do hobbies and learn new things, but also have time for you. Do have your own time, your own space, have a bath, do yoga, go to sleep, have a nap, watch a film, go out for a walk your dogs, go to the gym. There's so many other things that you can do in your own time, but that alone time, I think without you even thinking of it, makes such a difference. I am now waiting to have support from Savannah, which will provide me with, again, further group therapy support, but also one-to-one therapy to deeply talk about my past. And I think that for me, one of the massive things that helps is talking about it. And I think that so many people are in, and I think that Savannah will help me to let out my past, let out my trauma, talk about it to somebody that perhaps doesn't know me, and it'll help me on the bright future ahead that I have got. One thing that took me a while to learn as well was that in order to forgive them, I had to forgive myself, and that everything that did happen wasn't my fault. We are all suffering in one way or another, in whatever that may be, and I think knowing that comes as a positive that you aren't alone in this either. And together we can focus on the positive and the beautiful life that life in itself does bring. I urge all men, women and all to help share this video and raise awareness for a cause that I think is silently spoken about, and I think more, especially young women and all, need to know that it is okay to talk to somebody and that it is okay to ask for help, and that we're not all okay 24/7. We've all got feelings, we're all dealing with something inside, whatever that may be, domestic violence or many other things. But I think it's so important to know that you're not alone, and genuinely people do care. To educate young people on what a healthy relationship should be, to help provide a platform where people feel safe to openly speak about what's going on and what's happening or what their doubts are, and seeking for that help that they do need. I find opening up and speaking about my experience helps to let it out, to let it go, and hope that with sharing my story I find peace in knowing that this may help somebody else that is currently either going through a domestic violence relationship, or somebody that knows somebody that is, or even knowing that what their relationship, the signs are always there, and if something doesn't feel right to you and you're looking at this video, you're watching this video thinking to yourself something isn't quite right, then I hope like this makes me feel better knowing that this may help somebody else in return. I hope it inspires many others to come out and come forward, to speak up, to be heard, and to no longer be victims but survivors. My contemporary dance for the Miss England contest for Miss Talent is a domestic violence relationship awareness video on contemporary dancing. I don't know how to contemporary dance, but a staff member from YMCA where I currently work had voluntarily helped me to learn this dance. I hope you do enjoy it, and I hope that from this video alone, all I wanted to do is to raise further awareness, further support on what is important, and to know that you genuinely are not alone, and that everybody is going through something, no matter how good their life may seem on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media. I think social media is such a big thing, and for these purposes I think it's amazing, but nobody's life is perfect. Everybody does show the good bits and the good parts, and you're not going to see me stuffing 10 slices of pizza in my face, or when I'm having a bad day crying on my own in my room, very, very sad. We all do it. We've all done it. But I want to just show the realness of what life is, that genuinely, from so many stories and from doing this experience, even before, but I think so much more now, so many people have openly spoken to me or spoken up or approached me with a story of their own, not even relating to this, but just to know that everybody is suffering.